Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Way Up Trading. Now we're back again for another video on the one and only AMC Entertainment. Looking at this damn stock once again, just trying to get an idea where this thing is going to go, when it's eventually going to pop, which I feel like it actually is on its way starting today. Had a couple of conversations on Twitter with a few folks of what I was seeing, and right now it is bullish, being that we did break a key area and I actually showed a little bit of a chink in the armor on what I believe is going to be coming within the next few days, right after this. Movie! All right, just gonna get a quick idea of what we're seeing in the last couple of days. You already know the pattern, you know what we've been looking at for the last few months to years or whatever the case is. But right now you can see that we are still in a critical area on this stock after playing the entire schematic all the way up to this point in the descending broadening wedge, retest, playing the falling wedge, finding support on the uptrend, and right now still finding a little bit of resistance here on this uptrend, trying to make our breakout out of this descending broadening wedge, out of this falling wedge, and start making our way back up after passing critical levels that I have marked here. You can see I believe we actually have touched the bottom at this particular point back on May 31st, which is the last day of May. I mentioned in one of my Twitter posts that if they were not able to go and drop it by the end of May, that they probably going to call it bottom and start to make our way from there. And that's exactly what it seems like we've got. If you're not following me on Twitter, make sure you go and follow me there. I post a lot of high quality plays, as well as what I'm seeing with some of these stocks and other plays that are out there. Link is in my description. So after the $4.38 bounce, I had it marked here as $4.39 as a level of support. If we were to break that, I also had a buy order. If anybody's been following, I had a buy order for $4.30, but we never quite got to actually hit that, which is, again, this is the top of the gap fill, which I don't believe we're going to hit at this particular point in time. It is still possible, being that we are still in a very, very low volume environment on this stock. If we do continue to get low volume, it is a possibility we can break this uptrend that we've been on for the last several days and start to make our way back downward to start to test these levels of support. But at this point, I believe it's most likely off the table unless some crazy news comes out. I believe we'll start to continue to trickle up as we get closer and closer into the reverse split and conversion news that should be coming out closer to the end of the month. I really believe that a lot of this delay is due to that scenario, and a lot of big money is still keeping their pants kind of tied until this thing is actually fully resolved. But once you do see some type of news, whether or not it be related to that or not, you'll see the stock take off in one direction or the other with a huge influx of volume that should follow along with it. We can see back in the last few months, back in roughly around March 29th, I went ahead and made a post about this on Twitter, where it basically showed that on March 29th, the media used an excuse or an old posting about Amazon being interested in purchasing AMC right about the March 28th, 29th time frame. And we got this huge influx of volume in order for them to cover up the reasons that they had to cover those positions at that point in time. We are right at the same area where I believe something of a similar nature, some news source or something is going to come in, which sends this thing upward in a very, very big direction in order to cover up the reason that they're actually covering those shares at that particular point, which should kickstart the upward movement that we need to see to form a similar setup of this tri-peak type of movement that we have here up to the next levels, pushing us past the 645 mark, which is the 200 moving average on the daily, and so on. So again, I mentioned this several times on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, go ahead and follow me there. I am still expecting about a 70 to 100% move up from this region, which is would put us somewhere around the $8 to $9 region. I have a target of $9.19 still showing on this particular chart to potentially happen with the right kind of catalyst or move that should come up. Again, about 100% move from this area based upon that. So I don't know if they're going to go ahead and hit this with the Amazon news or something like that, but something is coming that's going to cause this to move up. In terms of where we are with our EMAs, this is this blue line here. You can see, if you can see it, our volume is actually showing really, really good. We have our first green volume bar, a step up from where we left off the other day. It's still very, very low relatively for the stock, which normally does anywhere between 30 to 60 million on a regular day. We've been trading in a 10 million and under situation now for the last few weeks to months now. Ever since our fall off from the high about 620, we worked all the way back down. And this is our first time actually seeing some green volume come in, which is actually still showing a little bit of rejection off the 9 EMA on the daily time frame. Once we start to cross these EMAs and start making our way back up, roughly past the $5 mark, which is where the 50 EMA starts, I believe we should be able to, in clear skies, to start making our ways back up and starting to form our next move up into this area here after passing the 200 moving average. Now I have this vertical line here marked, which is an area of convergence that I'm seeing here. This actually shows up on June 7th, which is tomorrow. Convergence, you can call it convergence, you can call it confluence, which a lot of folks like to use. But there is an area that I'm showing here. I'm going to go remove these indicators so we can get a closer look. And basically, is an uptrend that we've been in the last few days, as well as the red line, which is a downtrend from the falling wedge setup, the macro falling wedge that we're in. It is the uptrend from our lows, most recent lows at about 370. And this yellow line is the super macro descending broadening wedge from the AMC's inception, which is way back when AMC first started, back around 2016, 2017. A break of this area above $4.70, which is the area where we had that big influx of volume the other day, well, a few months ago with the Amazon news. A break above that, which we slightly had today, should start to send this up as long as volume start to support it. But we need to get back into that particular spot in order to start to make this move. Our levels of resistance that I have here: 471, 485, 497. Once we get back up at that level here, 497, we should be off to the races. I do see them trying to keep this thing underneath $5 because of Max Payne this week, but I am expecting more of a push going into the OPEX, June OPEX date, which is somewhere around the 16th of the month, and also after that. I did go ahead and mention that I entered in calls on AMC for the June 23rd expiration date for $5 calls, just around the break or that chink in the armor, once again, right around the break in the armor of the $4.68 mark. Let me see how those play on. Again, I'm averaging into that position. I'm not really fully heavy just yet, but if things go the way I believe they're going to go, those calls should go several 100% on the way up. So keep an eye out for those. If you're not into them, take a look at them. Be smart with your positions. Play your options the right way, and we're going to keep a look at this thing on a regular and consistent basis. Follow me on Twitter for the updates on this thing, for what I'm seeing, but so far it is looking really good. I don't see too much of an opportunity for downside, but if there is, it's a great opportunity to average down on that call or look into purchasing those calls for a little bit cheaper. However, I am seeing a lot of positivity on this particular stock going forward. I mentioned this in the past before. Now looking at the 2-day chart here, our area to break in order for this macro spring level that we're in at the bottom of this particular schematic, our macro area to break here is $6.13. Once we break $6.13, we can really start to move. My first target here, which is the XA on this particular bullish bat pattern, would put us at about $7.95 is our first target. My next target, $9.19, which is the midline of the macro bull channel that we've been in for just the beginning of AMC. From there, $10.65 if we can break those particular levels. Now, I do see a pullback retracement to some other levels after that. There would be some type of a sideways motion for quite a period of time. But going into the end of the year, or I'd say more so the beginning of the fall or end of summer, I still am expecting to see a larger upward move after a period of consolidation, somewhere up into the higher range, either the target 1 or target 2 area, roughly between the $21 to $30 range later on in the year. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to take place, but based on the technical setup that I have here, at the end of the schematic, the upward move can happen at some point in time going into that time frame. So keep a lookout on what's happening with AMC. I'm going to continue to make sure I update anyone watching or anyone part of the group. You can also go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Like I mentioned before, I post a lot of quality content there. Keep everybody up to date on what's happening on Twitter, or what I'm seeing on the charts, opportunities here to make some money on this particular stock and several others. This button's here still red. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Any questions you got, I'll make sure to get back to them as soon as possible. We're going to be here each and every day, making an outcome income for 2023 and growing our portfolios together. Can't wait to see you guys on the next